So, Stephen Carroll joining us for the business news. We're going to start off with the biggest product launch, possibly of the year, the Apple iPhone 7 unveiled at quite a crucial time for the company. It needs this product to do well, doesn't it?
It does. And the challenge for Apple with the iPhone 7 was to sort of recapture some of the magic the product had previously had for consumers. The iPhone is Apple's main earner, but sales have been falling so far in 2016. There were some new innovations in the new model, but technology experts aren't certain that there'll be enough to create a fresh boom in sales. Alison Sargent has the details.
Can the world fall back in love with the iPhone? That's the hope of Apple's Tim Cook. Speaking at the company's new product launch in San Francisco, the CEO tried to stir up enthusiasm.
We are so excited about iPhone 7. It makes all the things you do every day so much better.
The new phone features a faster processor, longer battery life, and high-resolution cameras. It's also water and dust resistant. But it is most notable for what it lacks, a headphone jack, an absence that caused some grumbling on social media. Apple has overcome customer skepticism in the past, but this latest release comes at a time when the company's biggest moneymaker has become its greatest worry. In the beginning of 2016, iPhone sales saw their first year-on-year decline since the product's launch in 2007. Apple is facing increasing competition from lower-cost rivals. The company hopes to reignite sales by convincing loyal fans to upgrade.
The worldwide smartphone market is definitely slowing down, and top-tier companies like Apple are facing tough year-over-year compares because people are holding on to their phones longer.
Markets showed a muted response to the new phone. After the product's launch Wednesday night, Apple shares finished up by just over 0.5%.
Right, so Apple investors weren't too excited, it would seem, but there were other companies that got a boost from Apple's announcement.
Namely Nintendo, because during that Apple keynote speech, we also learned that Nintendo is going to release a version of the Super Mario Brothers game for the iPhone. That sent shares up over 13% in Tokyo today. So a fairly impressive rise for Nintendo shares. Also just an eye there too on Apple's main rival, Samsung. Their shares, their investors obviously not very worried about this new iPhone at all. Shares in Seoul up by just about 1/3%. More broadly on the Asian markets, investors in China reacting to new data showing that imports rose in August for the first time in almost 2 years. That's led to some gains on the Hang Seng in Hong Kong. The Shanghai Composite, though, still trading pretty flat. And in Europe, finally, the markets have just opened. We're seeing a pretty flat start to the trading day in Europe. Small gains in London and Frankfurt, Paris just below the flat line. Technology shares, interestingly, leading the falls after that Apple launch. But one of the main issues that investors in Europe will be watching today is the meeting of the European Central Bank. Mario Draghi isn't expected to change interest rates, but he might extend the bank's bond buying programme, which is set to end next March. Earlier, we heard from Naeem Aslam, who's chief market analyst with Think Markets.
That deadline is coming up very soon. It's March 17. And have they achieved what they crave for with respect to inflation or with respect to growth? Certainly not. What were the reason? Brexit was one of the elements, and it has left number of stains on what Draghi or the ECB were going to do. Because if you cast your mind what happened back in June and July, even before Brexit, the ECB was pretty much ready and confident with respect to what they have stimulated with their quantitative easing, and they were going to upgrade their forecast. But now, with the Brexit, the data is kind of really not giving them that much chance, and perhaps now is the time for them to come back and then say, okay, whether we're going to do more quantitative easing, whether we're going to reduce the deposit rate, whether we're going to cut the interest rate, or one of the most famous ones, helicopter money, which you always love. But I don't think any of these extreme measures would be on the table today.
All right, one final story now with Stephen. Now, I thought that being a millionaire was pretty good. But apparently sometimes even millionaires aren't quite rich enough.
No, and this is coming from the bank JP Morgan. It's decided to cull customers from its private bank simply because they're not rich enough. The lender has recently doubled the minimum investment to $10 million. Now, this is a cost-cutting move, according to the Wall Street Journal. This is as low interest rates have hurt bank earnings. But it's a move that's expected to affect many of the top lawyers in New York. Apparently, many of them were allowed to access these private banking services, even if they didn't quite meet the 5 million minimum requirement. But now JP Morgan's getting tough and telling them they're simply not rich enough.
All right, so sling your golden diamond encrusted hook, I guess, is the message. Thanks very much, Stephen, our business editor, joining us there.